Mark's wrapping up his show. It's 8:57 going on 8:58 p.m. here on the East Coast. Today's 17, well, tonight, this evening, wherever you are in the multiverse. 17 April 2020. Let me tell you about my UFO experience last night. Unidentified aerial phenomena. I don't know what I saw, seriously. I know what I saw is for real. I assume it's military. I guess. I mean, I have seen renderings of spacecrafts that look like what I saw last night, but I've also seen military schematics and renderings of what I saw last night. So it's kind of hard to tell. But to err on the sake and side of, for the sake of logic and to err on the side of reason is what the fuck I meant to say. Sorry, man, I'm multitasking, driving like 60 miles an hour here. In mostly darkness. Yeah, so what I saw last night was about, let's see, there's the tree line, double the tree line. Would we triple the tree line? Definitely double, triple and a half. I'd say about triple and a half the height of the tree line. And I couldn't tell if the aircraft that was following what I saw was chasing it or simply following it or both. But it was definitely in tow. So, listen, I have been dissecting the secret space program for a long time. The thing that I saw last night, whatever it was, and again, I'm assuming it was military. I guess, man. I don't fucking know. It definitely looked to be of an alien extraterrestrial origin. And it flew over the township. It flew over the suburbs, man. And I know I wasn't the only fucking person who saw it. So it looked like two tires on a bike, like two BMX bike tires. And they overlapped. So in between the two overlapping circles was like a little eyelet looking thing. Like a little eyelet, for those who know what an eyelet is. Like you put your shoe lace through the little eyelet. Or when you're sewing through the little eyelet, little thing that looks like a teardrop, you take the thread and you put it through the eyelet. So these two discs, and they look like mags, like on a bike. So you had these two. There were these two like thick circular discs, and they appeared to somehow overlap. They were clearly connected. And in between the outer perimeter of each one were these little hash marks, it looked like, that were super, fluorescent, green. They were this, illuminated, green color. I didn't see anything pulsating, like you hear about in some of these different instances where persons have seen UFOs and unidentified aerial phenomena. Whatever that UAP was that I saw last night, it had some type of lighted structure at these different intervals. There were these lighted structures within the larger disc structure, and they went around the perimeter of these discs. So, again, like two bike tires, like BMX bike tires, two of these circles in the sky. How big was the thing? I would say, I mean, let me see, man. Okay, so you got this semi-truck here. And how many wheels does this have? Okay, 1, 2. I'd say definitely double the size of this. 3 times the size. 4 times.
Police spotted ahead.
Like maybe 4 times the size of a big ass semi truck. I mean, this thing was fucking huge, man. And it made this really, but what leads me to believe that it was earthly, that it was some type of military craft, was it made this sound. It made this very loud sound. And it went like this. It was kind of like, sounded like that. And I was like, man, what the fuck are these helicopters doing flying that low? And why do they sound like that? Because it sounded like multiple aircraft, and it was. I mean, I'm pretty good with aircraft. I'm not an expert.
Police reported ahead.
I'll be the fucking first time. Thank you, computer. I have many different map systems and many computers open. Thank you. I'm sure we'll see the fucking police when we see the goddamn fucking police. So, okay. So these 2 big discs in the sky. And they were horizontal and, flying horizontally to the ground. They were about 3.5 times the height of the tree line. So 2 tree line, 2 same height again, and a half. And they came over the suburbs and made this rattling sound, very loud again. It went like this. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is this helicopter or these helicopters doing? What are they looking for? But, I mean, look, man, I've lived on naval air stations, bases, military bases, and whatnot. So, I mean, I'm accustomed to loud aircraft flying overhead. But this seemed to sound, I had never heard this before, that I recall in my lifetime. I had never heard anything like that before. And so I look up in the sky and I see a fucking UFO, and I'm like, wow, okay, so is it from some other fucking planet, star system? It's clearly being followed by a helicopter. Looked kind of like an attack helicopter that was following it. It didn't look like, say, like a police helicopter. So I'm assuming that whatever was following it or tailing it was a military, I'm guessing, aircraft. And it had a light on it, on the larger craft. That is the aircraft that I'm assuming was military that was behind it, had a light on the larger unknown aircraft or spaceship or whatever the fuck it was. And it was very surreal, but I was also kind of like, damn, it's about time I see some shit like this because I've seen so many of these fucking things on the internet. And I'm trying to remember the last time, I don't know that I've seen a UFO that close up. When I was a kid, there was one that was on Interstate 5 back in Washington State. And there were actually a couple of sightings over like a year period of time where I called it into Boeing. And Boeing told me that they were flooded with calls from people who had seen the same thing. Because I used to live by Interstate 5 and like literally like a few blocks from the interstate. And I used to skateboard and ride bikes over to the interstate. And one night I was out with some friends and I looked up and I was like, yo, that's a UFO. And they're like, hell yeah, it is. And it was just kind of like glowing. And it was pulsating like light. And it was just moving along the highway. And we're like, damn, it's a fucking goddamn spaceship. So we were like, what do we do? I think it was like my mother. Someone was like, call Boeing, Watchtower or whatever, and Boeing, Air Command, whatever, they have a public number. So we looked it up in the fucking, white pages or whatever, and it was like, sure enough, Boeing, whatever, report suspicious activity or some shit. And the dude was like, look, son, we've been getting these calls for the past, 25, 30 minutes. Like, we've the phones are ringing right now, and you're definitely not the only one that's seen this thing. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess you guys know about it then. And he's like, yeah, thanks for the call. We're tracking the thing, don't know what it is. Like, he was very candid about it. I was like, because it doesn't often happen that way, or at least it didn't this, by the way, was back in the 1980s. And it was pre-Nintendo era. So it was before the Nintendo Entertainment System. And, man, I mean, it was fucking UFO. And we were like, all right, something came down from some other star, from other planet, and it's on our planet, and it's moving around. I mean, we just knew that the things existed, That was the first time I ever saw a UFO that I remember. I'm pretty sure that was the first time. And there was another one that was kind of like that, and we called it into Boeing again. And similarly, they were like, yeah, we're definitely on it. And it might have been the same fucking guy, because I remember the incidents weren't too far apart. And we were just kind of like, yeah, there that thing is again. That's the thing from the other night. So whatever was on the planet at that time was definitely visiting regularly. Well, the thing that I saw last night, man, yeah, it'll definitely be etched into my mind's eye for the rest of time. That thing looked pretty fucking cool. So again, these two large circular black discs, like all black. And then there are these little hash marks going around the outer perimeter, and where each one of those, all I can refer to them, because I don't know what they are, I didn't see them up close, these little hash marks, they were green. So these green little, hash marks that are lighted. And the thing was loud as fuck. So since it was as loud as it was, I was like, well, it's not anti-gravity, because if it were anti-gravity, it would most likely be silent or relatively silent. There might be some hum to it. There might be a little hum, or, some kind of low, noise, like some type of dull hum. But just that thing was fucking loud, man. And it was also kind of hard to tell which of the aircraft was actually making that loud sound, or if it was a combination of the two. Because the helicopter that was in fast pursuit behind it, with the light on the larger craft that appeared to be a spacecraft, that fucking helicopter was loud. Because keep in mind, it was flying super fast to try to keep up with the fucking UAP. And the thing itself seemed to be making some type of noise. Because those things, if I'm not mistaken, they were spinning. Those discs were spinning, and as they spun, the little green lights were going around it. So I thought to myself, okay, what I just saw is A, real as fuck. B, surreal. C, looks alien. Definitely looks fucking like something from some other planet, but it's loud, suggesting that it's not. So, what would that be? A, B, C, D? Probably some military aircraft. Experimental, because I have never fucking heard anybody say, I saw this thing that looks like what I saw. Because there would be, I'm guessing, video footage on the internet, which by now I probably would have seen. I mean, look, man, this thing was weird. It was very fucking strange. I could see one disc as in, a saucer shape, but this wasn't saucer shape. It was two black discs that seemed connected, somehow conjoined to each other. And I don't know if they were both rotating, or I don't know if they were counter fucking rotating, but they were definitely rotating, and those lights were spinning around the outside of those discs. And that shit was fucking ultra high tech, whatever the fuck it was. Now, could it have been some type of emergency search and rescue thing that's in use now? Maybe. I mean, that's kind of what came to mind, but it also I've never seen that shit in the news or on fucking YouTube or any type of like streaming service. And I would guess that again, if that were the case, that this thing is shown like on YouTube or some type of stream somewhere, or there's some information about it, people would be talking about it more openly. Like, yo, have you seen that one that new design where it's like these two circular discs that fly through the air and they fucking spin, and there's these little green, like illuminated, like light panels, like on the outer, like perimeter exterior of these two spinning discs? Fuck no, I've never heard of that shit. So, I don't know, man. I expected to see something in the newspaper today about it. I expected to hear some people talking about it, and I didn't, which is also fucking kind of weird. And look, it was not in some kind of outlying area. That shit was in town. Like, in the fucking town. So, I mean, look, man, it flew over, like, the local fucking town. And it was pretty fucking close to the ground. And I could see it pretty fucking close up. That shit was pretty fucking close up. And, I mean, man, if I have to, I'll take a fucking lie detector test. I can draw what I saw, which, between you and me, don't let anyone know, I already did. I'm just saying, like, I had to go back to the fucking lab, you know what I'm saying, my base of operations, and I had to sit there and think about what I just saw, and I was like, yo, let me sketch. I mean, I do pretty good with sketches, you know what I'm saying? I'm not like a super awesome, like, design illustrator, like some of my friends and colleagues who they can, like, draw characters and shit. I can doodle like a motherfucker, though. And I can sketch the shit out of some shit. And I'm pretty fucking good. So I know what I saw. And I know the U.S. military government knows that shit was in our airspace last night. And it probably was the U.S. military. But I'm just saying, man, like, to the casual observer, that shit looked extraterrestrial. And I'm not even a casual observer. I'm someone who has knowledge of the secret space program to some extent. Like, I'm hip. I've seen what alien abductees have seen. I've seen the documentaries, man. I've never seen this disc, these two discs connected type vehicle, aircraft, spacecraft, whatever it is, depicted in any type of documentary. In any documentary of any kind. I've never seen this thing. That's the first time I ever saw that shit. And that shit was fucking crazy. It looked cool. Looked cool as fuck, man. Whether it's military, terrestrial, of planet Earth, or some other fucking planetary shit, man. It looked damn fucking cool. And it was refreshing. It was refreshing to see, you know, what I knows out here. I was just like, damn, it's about time some shit comes to town. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. That's how I felt. I was like, wow, this is an incredible, it's almost like validation. You know what I'm saying? So, your boy, for those of you who are fans of this show, C4CW, casting 495 celebrities world fucking wide, C4CW, man, your boy, if you are true fans of this show, and you truly support and appreciate One Sir Grove and what we do here, your boy One Sir Grove saw a fucking UFO last night. More specifically, a unidentified aerial, phenomenon, whatever the fuck it was.